Vaxee have brought out a mouse that we've all been asking for, a mouse that we can use for both play and work, the Vaxee XE. Normally when I'd finish playing games I would put away my gaming mouse and bring out my working mouse. Finally I can just use one for both. What makes it a mouse for work and gaming? Let's breeze through the working functions first. It has a mechanical scroll wheel instead of an optical one, so it should be smoother and quieter, but more on this later. A detachable cable, so if this one breaks you can swap it out with another. Also it has a buckle to keep it sturdy. And the ultimate work related feature, the top button you can have set to page down or to take a screenshot. And finally, the feature we've all been asking for work related productivity, you can now have it set to the emoji menu. That's right, want to give your boss a quick thumbs up? Have they made an incredibly bland joke? Now you can just press one button, bam, the emoji menu is up and you can select the appropriate reaction on Slack to make your boss feel happier about themselves. They also say, and I quote, "We considered that the mouse would be used more for work than gaming and have reduced the weight from the original 70 to 80 grams to 67. This is the lowest we can go while still ensuring our standards of quality." Now I'm not sure, but to me that says that people that use mice for work want their mice to be lighter weight. I'm not quite sure what the weight reduction really does from a working perspective. So to me it seems that if this wasn't a working mouse it would in fact be heavier, but who knows. Now I've got all the work features out of the way, it's time for the more important part, gaming. The shape of this seems like a smaller version of the Superlight in some ways. The hump however seems to get engulfed by my palm a lot easier, but there is a bit of visual resemblance. Maybe the better words would be to call it a Superlight Mini. The exact dimensions are 122mm long, 61mm in the central width and 38mm at its peak. There is more exact dimension on Vaxee's website if you need them. I do find this comfortable, it's not on the same level as the Superlight, but nothing is really. But I would say that it's probably going to be good for those that wish the Superlight was a little bit smaller. The coating as well is actually really nice and you do get a various selection of colours, and that's why I've selected orange because it's the superior colour. With the shape, the side buttons are very easy to reach with a roll of the thumb. The buttons are also very nice, they are using Quano switches rated for 70 million clicks. These are switches that aren't that common in comparison to what's featured in other gaming mice, but honestly these aren't a downgrade at all. I've never had a problem with Zowie or Vaxee switches, they work how you expect them to and have a nice crisp feeling. However, I cannot hold this in for much longer. One thing I am very particular about are the scroll wheels. Why? Because in multiple games now scroll wheels are being utilised a lot more. I use mouse 3 to move my camera in Dota 2 or ping in Apex. I use the scrolling function as scroll up for jump and scroll down for tap strafing in Apex as well. Now the scrolling function in this mouse is okay, but that's in comparison to other Vaxee and Zowie mice. It's not brilliant, but it's acceptable. Previously they sounded like this. Surely they wouldn't make the same mistake on this one. Well, they haven't, they just made a different mistake. When using the mouse 3 click, it's so mushy it's like pressing on a rusty spring. It sends a shiver down my spine with how bad it is. I cannot stand it at all. Naturally, it could just be a quality control issue, and I hope it is, because if there wasn't, there'd be a lot of complaints about it right now. But my god, this is awful. Anyway, I've touched on the remaining button, which is the work button underneath the scroll wheel, which could have its use in game if you want an extra easy to reach bind. On the underside, you get some big and smooth 100% PTFE feet, which I think are great. The top one is similar to the big chunky Superlight pad. These are very smooth on all the mouse pads that I've used it with, and they are nice and chunky, so it will give a nice amount of balance to the mouse. The sensor for this is the same as the other Vaxee mice, using the 3389, which is a very high tier wide sensor, so you're really going to get one of the best. Because there's no software, the default DPIs are 400, 800, 1600 and 3200, which is the perfect DPI choices. You can change the DPI, the polling rate and the debound times by flipping over the mouse, and you have everything set out for you there. But how is it in game? For the most part, it's been great. The paracord cable doesn't get in the way and it feels brilliant to use. The really make it super smooth to use, and the shape is really secure against my hand, but because of the awful scroll wheel, I cannot really just give it an easy pass here. I've said many times in other reviews, the scroll wheel is a key part of games these days, and so it fails on the ground that it's not usable. The mushiness is really off-putting. The cost of this as well is around about $70, which for a wired mouse is a bit steep these days. However, if it was a perfect product, meaning the scroll wheel wasn't garbage, then I would say it would probably be worth the cost, as Vaxee do have a high standard of quality. But because there's a flaw with the scroll wheel, in my case, I would say it's not worth it. However, I will start the exchange process to see if it is just my version. If the scroll wheel was fine, I would say that this mouse was a hit. Yeah, the work button seems to just be a pointless feature. I mean, on the website it says that other mice they make are for pro esports, but this one is for working gaming. What happens if you use this one for pro esports? Does it fall apart? Does it just not keep up? Does it refuse to work? So if you're thinking about getting this mouse, I'd say it's a safe bet to give it a go. It's the definition of plug and play, as you'd expect from Vaxee. Simplicity just works best. I feel like the only real worrisome point for you maybe is the shape, so I can see it not being ideal for everyone, but they do put a lot of effort into the designs of these mice, so if it is going to suit you, it will be a very comfortable mouse. It's definitely a gaming mouse, and it's definitely a work mouse. Dare I say you could even use it to play esports if you dare. If you're wanting a mouse that is guaranteed to be esports certified, then I'll have a video up now which most certainly is.